New at 11, Tropical Storm Emily on the move in the Caribbean with the latest weather tracks pushing it a little more to the west. Good evening. I'm Michael Williams.
I'm Kelly Dunn. Tonight, Hispaniola is feeling the effects of the storm. So far, it's been a rain event. This is new video coming out of Puerto Rico. Rain bands drenched parts of the island today and caused flooding in some areas. Emily is expected to make its way past Haiti overnight, a country still trying to recover from last year's earthquake. Authorities are urging people to be prepared to evacuate to higher ground.
Tonight, we have team coverage of Tropical Storm Emily, and we begin with Chief Meteorologist Steve Weigel, who has the latest on where Emily could be headed. Steve?
Yeah, we just got the latest coordinates in the new forecast track from the Hurricane Center. As suspected, a couple of things have been going on tonight. The system actually stalled for this evening and now has resumed a westward track very slowly just to the south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Now, the center of circulation, which has been displaced from the big thunderstorms the last few days, is now starting to get underneath all this active weather. That's an indication that we could see additional strengthening overnight and tomorrow. The pressure fell a little during the day too, and typically what happens is we'll see a pressure fall, and then 4 to 6 hours later we'll see an increase in the wind speeds. The winds stay at 50 tonight, moving west at 5 miles an hour, very slow mover, and then tracking across the Windward Passage on Friday, late Thursday night, early Friday morning, re-emerging hopefully as a weaker system once the interaction with the very high mountainous areas of Hispaniola take place. Its closest approach to us will be Saturday afternoon and evening. The forecast track has shifted a little farther to the west, so a little bit closer to Florida, as has the air cone. Keep in mind, we could see a forecast with a Florida landfall paralleling the coast and then moving up the coast. Now, it's as a tropical storm, but keep in mind, intensity forecasts are not good. In fact, the Hurricane Center are the first ones to mention that. Their track forecasts are fairly accurate or very accurate. The intensity forecast, we could see a tropical storm. Potentially, we could see strengthening. Some of the models actually strengthen it to a hurricane as it moves over the Bahamas. So that is something we'll have to watch for, too. None of the watches and warnings have changed tonight. We still have the tropical storm watch in yellow here. That includes the northwestern Bahamas. We're next, though. South Florida will more than likely pick up watches tomorrow morning or the early afternoon at the latest. And watches will be issued, and then eventually we'll get into some tropical storm warnings. That's what they have for the rest of the Bahamas tonight and also for parts of Cuba. So an interesting system, and we're going to have to keep a very close eye on it. If it has an impact on our weather, it would be Saturday, and it would bring us some very heavy rainfall and some gusty winds. With this track at the present time, the worst weather stays offshore, but as we've been seeing, the tracks have been progressing a little farther west with each run, and we could eventually see it with a Florida landfall. That is possible.
And is there any indication that they will continue to move west? I mean, is there some other weather factor? Or?
Well, there's no, I wouldn't say there's an indication, but there is the hint. When you start to see computer models day after day move a little farther west, a little farther west, a little farther west, you start to expect that that will happen the next day too, because local weather factors and how it's owning the, or not owning, but watching the atmosphere and the track of it, it's taking in new data and it's collecting that and it's shifting it, and I do expect that we'll continue to see a little shift to the west.
Best words of advice to our viewers tonight?
Just pick up your hurricane survival guide, make sure you have your supplies ready, and no need to put up shutters or anything like that. No need to go overboard with this one, but monitor it.
And I know you said the intensity tracks, or the intensity is very hard to judge for the Hurricane Center.
Absolutely.
But if it were to bump up to hurricane strength, when would we know that?
We would know that as it moves into the Bahamas, because we do expect some weakening as it pushes over Hispaniola and eastern Cuba. But as it moves over the Bahamas, the water temperatures are very, very warm, and some additional strengthening is possible then. Not a lot of wind shear, and it can tap into that warm water and intensify very quickly. That is a possibility, and some very reliable computer models tonight have a pretty decent hurricane moving through the Bahamas on Friday night and Saturday. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.